I go around the world and interview tech executives. I just got back this week from South Africa. So one of the companies that I saw was the Z camera, where they use 2 cameras to map out the world. And they map, this is a picture of the map that it builds, the mesh that it puts on top of things. This is going to be a common pattern that you're going to see used in self-driving cars and robots and augmented reality glasses. In 5 years, you're going to be wearing a piece of glass in your face with 2 lenses, and it's going to map out the world as you look around. And why do you need that mapping? Why do you need to know, why does the computer system need a mesh of polygons where it can lay virtual things on top of the real world? Well, let's talk about it. This is Meta that I saw, and Meta is one of the top augmented reality glasses. You might have heard of Magic Leap. They got $1.3 billion of investment so far. This is a company that has no product and has no customers. Why did they get $1.3 billion? Because they're building a system where you wear a piece of glass on your face and it puts items on top of the real world. It can put a chessboard on this table, or it can put CNN on the floor, or it could put a zombie walking down the aisle that I have to shoot before I lose 10 points, right? And here Meta is showing that they have built a virtual operating system where you can hold these screens and spin them around and set them up. You no longer are going to be buying pieces of glass like this because you're not going to need them. You're going to have 20 screens right in your view if you want them. You can interact with these holograms, these virtual items, and spread them apart and click on them and punch them and spin them with your hands and do things with them, right? You can learn in new ways. They showed me a skeleton that I can split apart, and I can put my face right into the skeleton and see all sorts of different body parts. You can work with CAD. And by the way, these are being used today already. If you go to Caterpillar, they're using Meta glasses to teach the mechanics on their $1 million tractors on how to fix the tractors, right? So let's talk about Magic Leap. Meta's the second one. Magic Leap is putting virtual items on top of the real world. This is a real desk. And it's occluded properly. You'll notice it goes underneath the desk, right? How did it do that? It had to sense the world. It had to sense everything in the world, and it's putting it on top. Now what Magic Leap is doing a lot of optic tricks. You'll notice that it's refocusing a little bit here. That's because it not just is controlling the eyes and spreading apart images to give you the sense of depth, but it's also focusing the images the way your eye focuses. So there's a lot of new technology coming here to put items, virtual items, on top of the real world. Now this is 5 years away, right? Maybe 3. But it's certainly 3 years away. It's not going to come this year. It's not going to come next year. It's going to be 2018, 2019, and probably later before everybody in society has them. Aaron and I are going to be first in line, right? Exactly. So let's talk a little bit. Let's come back to reality a little bit, because this is 5 years. Now we're coming back to virtual reality. If you go to the McDonald's booth here, it's CES, the activation that they have 4 of these headsets, and they put you in a game, and they let you paint on walls, and they take a picture of it. It's a lot of fun. And there's a few companies that are using virtual reality for marketing activations. So let's talk about what could you do with this today? If you are at Disney, you're already using virtual reality to set up, to design your parks. This I shot in Seattle. This guy is wearing a virtual reality headset. He's designing a new condo and maybe selling it to somebody. He can change the floor, he can change the paint, he can change the furniture around, all in virtual reality, all instantly, so he can sell a client on a new idea and get their buy-in. You notice the picture out the window was actually shot by a drone, and it's actually a real picture of what it would look like if you own this condo, right? And they can upsell you, because on the other side you have a better view. Well, that's $200,000 more for that view, and they can take you over that side and say, hey, wouldn't you like that view better? And upsell you, right? So when I went to Facebook and I got to look at Oculus Rift, they put a headset on me, and they put these controllers in my hands, and I was playing ping pong with somebody else over the internet in Oculus Rift. This is coming this summer. The controllers we're waiting for, we're getting the headsets in 2 weeks. The first buyers of Oculus Rift are getting their first headsets in 2 weeks. We can light things on fire. We can use slingshots. We can punch each other. We can play trains with each other. We can do a lot of fun things. This is an extraordinary social experiment that, yes, you have to wear the dorky headset. That's antisocial. But once you put the dorky headset on, you're in a social environment with other people in the world. And that's going to change our culture pretty deeply. When you wear these augmented reality headsets, you can look at things like a piece of paper and it augments. This is already happening in our mobile phones. If you look at the Sephora app, how many people have the Sephora app? Yeah, a couple. If you use the Sephora app, you can aim it at your face and try different shades of lipstick on. And when you take the Sephora app into a Sephora store and you aim it at the signage in the store, it augments. It changes the sign. This is already here, right? Let's talk about customer service and how that's going to change. You guys have seen Google Glass, and a lot of people improperly think it's a failure. I think it was just a too early attempt that went a little nuts. But these are coming back. Google Glass is a screen about 1/4 inch. This is a screen about an 1/8 inch high, and it's sharper and brighter. The Google Glass lasts 45 minutes. This one lasts 8 hours. And on, and it's cheaper, and it's coming back. So I'm going to wear a glass in the store, and you're not going to know that I'm wearing a smart glass, and certainly within 3 to 4 years. Carl Zeiss showed me a pair of glasses at CES. I couldn't tell that it was a smart glass from looking at it on the outside. It looked like a sunglass frame. And this is what the Copen screens look like on the outside. Right now it's still pretty big because of the compute package, but they're getting smaller and smaller. They're getting hidden inside products. This is the Oakley Airwave ski goggle, which has a Recon Instruments computer in the lower right that shows you where on the mountain you are, how fast you're going, where your kids are, lets you chat with your kids, your friends, if they have an Android or an iPhone app. And it shows you the hang time when you jump, because it has a sensor package that senses that, and it'll tell you how good you are at jumping, stuff like that. You might say, well, that's futuristic and good for ski goggles. Well, this guy was just bought by Snapchat. This is Epiphany Eyewear. He builds a 1080p camera directly right inside the eyeglass frames. Now, keep in mind, these pictures are 2 years old. All right, they're going to come out this year with a connected smart camera that's going to be smaller than this, and you're not going to know that the kid that you just started talking to is recording you, unless there's a light on it. And of course, the kids are going to black out the light. This is what the 1080p camera looks like directly in a sunglass frame. This is 2 years old. It's going to be a lot smaller this year. We're seeing marketing activations happen all over the place with virtual reality. Certainly that's a big thing here happening at South by Southwest with McDonald's and Gatorade both having these activations. But Absolute Vodka had a contest where they give out a Google Cardboard style device to people who entered the contest. They had 15,000 people enter the contest. They sent out 5,000 sets of 3 headsets, and they had a live music event. The guy who ran the contest said that they had an average of 19 minutes of time spent inside their their Cardboard headset watching this. And he said that was extraordinary for an alcohol brand to have 19 minutes of your time spent inside one of their marketing activations. We're going to see new kinds of cameras this year from GoPro and Nike and all sorts of different ones. This is a new camera coming from Views that has 360, so 360-degree camera, and 3D. So it has 4 sets of these 2 cameras again. Remember, anytime you see 2 cameras, whether it's on a Mercedes self-driving car, or on a robot that's walking around, or on augmented reality glasses, or a camera, it can build a depth map of what it's seeing, and it can put virtual items on top of the real world. So this kind of camera in the next 5 years is going to be very, very interesting. Now let's come back to reality. What is happening today, and how do you prepare your businesses for this augmented reality world? Let's talk about a sports stadium. This is already built. This sports stadium is where the Super Bowl was a couple weeks ago. It knows where you buy your ticket, because you're using the mobile phone to buy your ticket, and you leave the GPS on. It knows when you're driving toward the stadium. And in fact, if the parking lot C is flooded because of El Nino, it can direct you to parking lot A where there's still spots available as you drive to the stadium. It knows when you arrive at the parking lot because you have to show your mobile phone to get into the parking lot. It knows when you enter the front door of the stadium because there's an Internet of Things device there called a Qzar. This is the guy who built it. He runs Venue Next, and this thing has a bunch of radios that sense your phone walking by. And it turns red if you don't have a current authenticated ticket. If you do, it turns green. There's 150 of them at the stadium. It knows, it controls your access to VIP lounges and stuff like that. In the stadium, there's 2,000 beacons. These are the beacons that are in the stadium. For people who don't know what a beacon is a little radio that spits 3 numbers into the air every 30th of a second. It runs for 2 years on a set of batteries, costs less than $10. And if I had 3 of them in this room, I would know where you're sitting with plus or minus a meter, right? They have 2,000 of them in the stadium. They know where you're standing or sitting full time, all the time you're in that stadium. Now somebody in one of my talks said, I'm turning that shit off, right? I'm turning off the Bluetooth. And I said, no, you're not. Because thanks to this kind of technology, they deliver food to your seat. They have a sensor in the bathroom to tell how long the line length is in the bathroom, and they navigate it to the bathroom that has the shortest line nearest you. Right? You turn it off, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get it in the stadium. You're not going to get it in the VIP area. You're not going to get your hot dog delivered to you. You're not going to figure out the bathroom. You're not going to get access to all sorts of stuff like contests and more. The Sacramento Kings is already using beacons to give away tickets to fans as they walk around the stadium. And you might say, well, that's the stadium. But this is American Airlines, and they have the same exact system in the airport, right? As you walk around, it knows exactly where you're standing, and you ask it, where's the sushi restaurant closest to me? Or where's my gate? Or where's the bathroom? Or where's the information counter? Or where's the plug where I can plug in and charge my phone, right? It knows it all. They've mapped out the airports. Chicago Airport is one of the first airports that American Airlines has done this to, and they're not alone. The system that they built is in other airlines as well. How are they doing this? They're using a Cisco router in the airport in some places. Some places they're just walking around with a sensor array that senses the Wi-Fi signals that are spraying across us right now, right? You didn't know that, but this light can be used to tell where I am. It's brighter over there, it's less bright over here. And if I had a sensor, I would know exactly where everybody is in this room. Wi-Fi is the same way, right? This one has 32 little radios around it. It knows where you're standing, plus or minus a meter, using Wi-Fi that's spraying off of here, right? You might say, well, that's cool. What else can I do in the stadium? Well, one nice thing about stadiums is you've given up your privacy to walk in the stadium. You've done that because of the TV rights in the stadium. And the ticket and the sign on the door says you have no rights to privacy when you walk in here. So this company out of South Africa, Fangham, takes high-resolution pictures of you in the stadium. So let's look at one of these pictures. This was shot at the Super Bowl. He has the camera down on the field, and he can zoom all the way into you, all the way up in the upper stands. He can tell more about the customer in this stadium than the football team knows. They know what your age is, plus or minus 5 years. They know what your gender is. They know whether you've been to the stadium before because they shoot a picture at every game in the stadium. And they also know what team you're voting for. This is all stuff that the Super Bowl doesn't even know when you buy your ticket because you don't give that data up, right? Let's talk about how the world is changing and is going to set itself up for this new augmented reality world. This guy started Zoran, but we'll forget him. He runs $8 billion in venture capital. His son, Daniel Elmog, runs this new company called Tapingo. How many people have heard of Tapingo? You have? Anybody else? Yeah, 2 people. It's only for college kids right now. Yeah, I know another app that started that way, right?
Facebook.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg started that way. This kid at Santa Clara University, Tapingo is used by, 70% of all transactions at Santa Clara University are already going through this kid's app. So when you wake up at 7 in the morning and you're a student at Santa Clara University and you want an iced latte, you open up Tapingo and you say, I want an iced latte. And it says at 7:29 your iced latte will be ready. And you go in and pick it up and you leave. You do not tap anything. You do not talk to anybody. You do not touch anything. You do not pull out credit cards. You do not do anything. It took care of everything. You don't wait in line, right? And that's last year's app. This year's app, if Aaron's in the Starbucks and we work together, it's going to tell his phone, hey, pick up Robert's iced latte and take it to work or take it to class. And you're going to get $5 Topingo dollars by doing that. He's building a decentralized delivery network. And he's building a cryptocurrency using Bitcoin, his own version of Bitcoin, because he doesn't want to put money into Visa. Every time he touches Visa, he has to pay 2%. So watch this company. This company is crazy, right? And we're going to use this kind of technology in our glasses. I just saw it this morning. We're going to use our eyes to do things in the world, and we're going to say, we're going to talk to this thing, and we're going to use our eyes to select things like lattes and stuff like that. One more business that's fun to watch. This, if you go to Coupa Cafe in Palo Alto, they have now the downtown app. Before that, you had to get off your seat, go in, wait in line, took 20 minutes to get a hamburger. Now you just pull out your app and it delivers a hamburger to your seat. Sales went up 25% when this was put in the first week. 35% so far, right? So I know more and more of your businesses are going to think about restructuring themselves to make it possible to transact with fewer clicks, because this is the augmented reality glass world. We do not want to type. We want to just emote and have things show up. This is a world coming. This is Viv. These guys started Siri, went to Apple, then left Apple, then started this company. Siri has a lot of problems. We all know that. If you ask Siri how many people are checked in on Foursquare right now at the W2O thing, it'll understand you just fine. Foursquare has an answer to that, actually. If you guys checked in here at Foursquare, there's an answer. They know how many people are checked in. And Foursquare has an API. But Apple has not written the code to hook up the utterance that you just made to the API. Viv is going to fix that and coming out this year. So you're going to use new kinds of systems, not just Viv, but Operator, Facebook M to transact. This is setting up the world for this world where we have glasses on and we're going to walk down the street and want things, right? So that's a little taste of what I'm seeing. Thanks, Aaron, for having me here. You know, I know this is coming because the kids love it. And I just watched 30 people get their first experience in South Africa on VR, and they were effusive. I actually recorded them. Everybody who gets their first experience knows that this is the future. So get your first experience here at South by Southwest, and thank you very much.